Ladies and gentlemen, on the Strange Dave Show with us today, Blondie Chaplin.
Hey, how you doing, Dave?
How's it going, Blondie?
Good, very good, man.
Oh, I'm such a fan, man. I am a huge fan of Blondie Chaplin. Blondie's the lead singer of that song, Sail On Sailor, which you were just listening to in the background there, by the Beach Boys. Excellent song, my friend. Sung very well.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It was lucky I got a chance to sing it, so... Yeah, I was just listening to it as you were playing in the background. It still sounds okay, so... It's nice to hear it, you know?
Now, do you get asked to perform that song live a lot?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, I haven't done it that often, but occasionally I do. You know, I don't really mind. It's just sometimes it's you know, if you don't really have the right backup, or you know, because you know there's so many voices over there, so you miss that. But I don't mind doing it without all those voices. But just you know, it takes the right kind of playing on it. You know what I mean?
Right now, you're really playing the victim.
Not really.
No, but in all seriousness, it is an excellent song. Yeah, I mean the song is sung with the Beach Boys in the background, so I'm assuming you need.
Yeah, but I do that because I do some jamming out in LA in a club called The Joint, and I occasionally play that song just on my own. I mean with a band and stuff like that, and it works pretty good. It's just up to me to sing it good, so not bad. No, it's okay. I still do it, so and I don't mind doing it at all.
Brian Wilson wrote "Sail On Sailor," I believe, with Van Dyke Parks.
Yeah, I think that was a collaboration.
Now, did you ever meet Brian Wilson?
Yeah, when we did the Holland album, he was in Holland. He came over to Holland and did a lot of work on that. The Sail On Sailor thing was done at his house back in the States in Bellagio Road.
Uh-huh.
That's where we recorded that because I don't think they had a song that was that they could play on the radio kind of stuff. So Sail On Sailor was written and recorded after the album was done in Holland.
I have here that Carl Wilson selected you to sing that song.
Yeah, well, Dennis sang it. I tried it at one time and said, "Oh man, it's not good for me, son." And my famous quote of him is, "Okay, I'm going surfing now." All right. So Carl tried it a couple of times,
yeah.
and he thought the timbre of his voice wasn't the right thing. So then they asked me to do it. So and then I sang it a couple of times, and that was it. What you hear.
Do you credit Carl Wilson for discovering you?
I tell you, I don't know about discovering, but he did help us a lot because he was the one. We had a band called Flame from South Africa who was in England, and they were looking for groups on their label. So Carl was the one that got us to America. So as far as he was very responsible for getting us over here. And, then getting into American life, you know.
Right, so he discovered you in the Flame, and then at some point, Dennis Wilson, he messes up his hand or something, and they need a drummer, and they hire Ricky Fattar, who's your friend, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. I talk to him often. He's up in San Francisco. He's doing well.
Okay. And, so then the two of you are actually hired as full-time members at this point?
Yeah, well, you can say full-time members, but the full-time members were always those guys. But as far as participants, yes.
Yes. And I also have here, you went on tour with them, recorded 2 albums, Carl and the Passion, So Tough, and, of course, the Holland album you were just talking about.
Right.
Yeah. And now, I also have here that Ricky stayed on board after you left the Beach Boys and that you fought with management. What was that about?
Say that again, Dave. I beg your pardon.
It says here that Blondie Chaplin departed the Beach Boys after a dispute with management.
This was a long tour, and it was just a long tour where I asked something of somebody that was the management, and I made it clear to him that he wasn't doing the right thing, and then I walked away and I got turned around and hit a few blows.
Right.
And that's what made me quit their management or their gig.
All right, I got to take a couple of emails from some listeners. Hang on. This one's written, Dear Blondie. This one is from Maryland out in California. Dear Blondie, I'm a big fan of the Beach Boys, and my favorite Beach Boy was Carl Wilson. I have to ask you, were you too close after you broke up with the Beach Boys? There's a 2-part question. And did you attend Carl Wilson's funeral?
No.
No. Is that true?
No, the funeral was private anyway. And what was the first part of the question?
They want to know if you were close with Carl Wilson.
After the Beach Boys, no, I didn't see them at all till about, until I started working with the Stones, and about 5 years before, a few years before Carl, even before the Stones, a few years before Carl passed. I met him, I went to a gig because a friend of mine wanted to take me to a gig, so I ended up singing with them, Sail on Sailor, and we started getting close again. And I just was more in touch with him on the phone than I had been in, Jesus, almost 20 years.
So let me get this straight. So a few years before Carl Wilson died, you actually bumped into him and you joined the Beach Boys on stage to sing "Sail on Sailor"?
Yeah, they were doing some show. I actually a couple of times. Once in Atlantic City and once in I think it was New Jersey or some outdoor show that they were doing. And I think Mike said that I was responsible for the good sound of the song, and I just happened to be there, and they invited me on stage to sing it.
Now, okay, so was this that time in Atlantic City, was that post Carl Wilson's death?
Pre.
That was okay. So Carl was there with Mike.
Yeah, definitely. That's when he was going through. He was going through quite a bit of chemo and stuff like that. And I mean, he would stand up and sing, and sometimes he would sit down and sing. Because he was going through his treatment as he was on the road, so...
Right. That was during... That was his last touring days.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so, all right, so since then, have you performed with the Beach Boys at all as a guest performer?
No, never.
Never, right?
No.
Now, have you ever performed with Al Jardine's solo band?
Never.
No.
Brian Wilson?
No.
Okay, I'm not hitting any home runs over here.
Oh no!
All right, so what happened? Like, well, I mean, you were in the band for two of their best. Holland is one of my favorite albums.
After how I left and everything, I just, I had no time for that part of that existence. So I just had no close relation to them, because I thought the whole thing was a little bit odd by some of the people, and I just kind of stayed away until much later. I figured I'd run into them at some point, and it just was much later.
Because Mike Love, he pretty much kicked everyone out of the band. They could use another original member like yourself, you know?
Well, sometimes Mike likes to think he's the only original member.
No, it's true. I mean, that's the thing. That's why, they're splintered off now. After Carl died, Al left the band or got fired or whatever have you.
Yeah, so Mike's in charge of Mike's in charge of Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they could use you. And I've seen all of them live separately. I've seen Brian Wilson. I've seen Mike Love's Beach Boys. Because I don't call it the Beach Boys, I call it Mike Love's Beach Boys. And I've seen Al Jardine, and Mike's got the worst band out of all three of them. No offense, Brian.
I can believe
you. All right. So what? So now it's the 1980s. You're touring with the band, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And now this is interesting. The former Byrds. Members Gene and Michael Clark, no relation. They just have the same sounding last name, not the same. Now they start their own version of the Byrds called the 20th Anniversary Celebration Byrds.
No, you know what it was? It was just playing Byrds songs, a tribute to the Byrds, and then people went, "Oh, this is the new Byrds." I never considered it that. It was just a tribute to the Byrds. They just happened to have two of the guys that were some of the members there. So all I did was just assist them, play a little.